Our first candidate to speak is Elad Gross. Elad Gross is running for Missouri Attorney General against Democrat Richard Finneran in the August Democratic primary and against incumbent Republican Eric Schmidtt in the November general election. Elad is a constitutional and civil rights attorney and was an assistant attorney general in the Labor and Litigation divisions under Chris Koster. He joined the Attorney General's office after working in the Department of Justice Organized Crime Unit in law school. Since then, Elad has fought for better government in Missouri by investigating and suing a dark money organization trying to buy Missouri's elections. He is also in court fighting to protect Missouri's government transparency laws, and he is a leading voice for fairness in our underfunded education and criminal justice systems. Welcome, Elad Gross.
Well, thanks for having me. I feel like I don't have anything to say now. Well, my name's Elad. I'm running for Attorney General of Missouri. We really need an anti-corruption Attorney General very badly. So I'm from Missouri. I've grown up here. I've been here my whole life. Working at the Attorney General's office was really a dream for me when I was in law school, because I learned so much about what that office can do for so many of us. I came into public service through education. So my mom, she became a single working mom when I was a teenager and had to deal with me and my brother, he's a fun one, and my sister, also a fun one, but a little less fun. And she really gave so much of herself to make sure that we could all have wonderful educations. For her, she grew up very poor. She's a first-generation American, and for her, education was opportunity. And that's true for so many folks in our country today. That's very true for me. It says a lot about the time that we live in that she had to sacrifice so much for us to get great educations. There's so many folks in our state who are working so hard for that opportunity. And despite all that hard work, they don't get to have that opportunity. And when I was in high school and then in college and afterwards, for me, education and that experience was always so important. And so I ended up working with kids. I've been teaching kids for 13 years now. I know I look like I'm 13. It helps me blend in and teach. That's why I always wear a tie. But I've been doing that primarily in the St. Louis City area, in the Hyde Park neighborhood, for those of you who are familiar, but also into some of the counties. And I've done a lot of work in education throughout our state. I feel very strongly that our government needs to put our kids at the center of every policy decision that we make. We should really consider what effect it's going to have on our families, on our future, on opportunity for kids. Because if we're not here best serving our children, we're really not doing anything right. And unfortunately, our state is doing a lot wrong. The Attorney General's office has a very big role, plays a very big role in so many parts of what allow us and our kids to have opportunity. That includes what's happening in our justice system. And if you look around what's happening right now, not only in Minnesota, not only in some few states that we're hearing stories about in Kentucky, this is happening here in Missouri. For the 20th year in a row, our Attorney General released a report showing that Black Missourians are more likely to be pulled over, are more likely to be arrested, and are less likely to have contraband than their white driving counterparts in Missouri. 94% more likely to be pulled over. And that's a report that comes from our Attorney General's office every year, and for 20 years it's shown the same pattern. No plan. No plan on what to do about that whatsoever. I feel very strongly that we need an Attorney General who is going to focus on fixing our justice system. When I left the Attorney General's office, I had the opportunity to serve as a special public defender, which means I was so special I wasn't paid. Our public defender system is very overloaded, and it's because our justice system is not working. I represented an 18-year-old girl who was in the St. Louis City Workhouse, which is a jail. She was there for 7 months, accused of a crime that she did not commit. In fact, she cooperated with law enforcement, told them everything that she knew about a fight that happened in the Loop area in St. Louis. And She never had an attorney. So she was arrested. She was in jail. She couldn't afford a few $100s to get out. So she sat there for 7 months, including for 2 weeks during which charges had already been dropped against her, but nobody let her out. Fortunately, I met her and found out what had happened and got her out. And she asked me to help her fix this broken system. And so we actually took a number of folks to court, and a lot of the effort that she put into it, that we put into it with other organizations, we've actually brought a lot of reform to the system. So this is something that we can get done. This is something that we can change in our state. There are a lot of ways for us to get involved. And for folks like you who are watching right now, this is a very big step to take. We need to be engaged in our democracy. We need to make sure that our state is working for us. And the office that can make sure that our government is actually representing the people of Missouri, whether that's making sure our justice system is working, making sure that our healthcare system is working, making sure that these folks are not buying our democracy with dark money or whatever else they want to use. That's the Attorney General's office. And we're seeing right now what happens when we have an Attorney General who doesn't have the experience. He's never worked there before up until now. I'm the only one in this race who's worked there. And I think it's very important for us to have an Attorney General who knows how that office works, who has plans ready to go on day one, who has a vision for Missouri that ensures that our voices are being heard. And that's why in this campaign, we've traveled so much. We've visited with so many of you. We've been all over the state. We started early so we could do that. 409 events in person before the virus, and a whole lot more digitally since then. So, I think that this office is a very important one for us to get done, to take back, because we really need to make sure that we, the people, take back Missouri. And I feel very strongly that we need an anti-corruption Attorney General to get that done. So for those of you who are interested, I'd love to have your support in the campaign. We are breaking a lot of grassroots records, but that's because of folks who are supporting it. So I'll throw it up there so you can see. But we do have a website. It's my name, eladgross.org. We also have several resources that we put out, including one to help folks provide input into fixing our justice system. We have a website called justicemo.org, so justicemo, like Missouri.org, where you can provide your own input. There's a link to that through our main website. We also have another website called votemissouri.org to help folks vote absentee and by mail. I know that system's very confusing. We've been working very hard on helping more people access the ballot, and so we'd love your help getting all of that done. So I thank you all for having me today. I really appreciate your time, and if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, there were several questions. With the Bostock decision yesterday, what more needs to change in Missouri to protect the rights of our LGBTQ community?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kyle. So the Bostock decision was a wonderful one. It came out, the Supreme Court found that folks cannot discriminate in the workplace under the Civil Rights Act, 1964, cannot discriminate under Title VII in the workplace for folks who are members of the LGBTQIA+ community. What does that mean for Missouri? Well, that's workplace discrimination. In the state of Missouri, the Supreme Court, our local Supreme Court, has made some similar decisions. So I've argued for quite some time that the Attorney General should be involved in enforcing those protections for Missourians. In fact, we've released a lot of plans on this campaign. The first plan that we released, and those are all available on our website, the first plan that we released was a plan to protect all of our civil rights, specifically for folks in the LGBTQIA+ community. The Attorney General needs to start a civil rights division at the office. Many other states have these divisions. We don't. I know our Attorney General likes to talk about how strong of a supporter he is. He's not. He filed a brief against Missourians. He said that we should be able to discriminate on this basis. He didn't have to file that brief with the Supreme Court. He chose to. He has refused to start a civil rights division. He's not protecting folks. So I think we desperately need an Attorney General who will start that division, who will enforce the law, and will make sure that we stop discriminating against folks in our state. So those are some steps we should take. We've also proposed in the legislature for 20 plus years now, the Missouri Non-Discrimination Act, also known as MONA, that's the acronym. And I feel very strongly we should pass that but we can get a whole lot done in that area just from the Attorney General's office based on these court decisions that we have now.
Well, we've only got about a minute and a half left. We've got two questions on police reform. What qualifies for immunity, I guess, for the police, what Sharon's asking, and then are you for police reform or police defund?
Yeah, so we've had a number of town halls on these issues. In fact, we're going to announce this tomorrow, but I'll do it right now. Why not? On Saturday, we're going to be having our regular Elad Pod show. It's a live town hall for everybody to participate in. We'll be having a professor come on and talk about qualified immunity. In short, I don't support it. I think we should get rid of it. Two, when it comes to policing, I think that we really need to reimagine how we're policing and make sure that we're getting social services to the right place. I think we need to look at our budgets and see where we're allocating funds. But I think that we need to let our experiences and what we know works tell that story versus, jumping in there with one thought already. I think some places might need more funding for more training. Some places might need more funding for social workers. I think that we really need to do that on a local basis. The Attorney General needs to be there to show a lot of leadership and to make sure that we're coordinating those services across the state.